Hello, hello. Hi guys, I believe I'm live. Welcome to this live that we're going to do on your pumpkins. Thank you so much for sharing your work with me in Discord, in the tribe community. There is a ton of amazing pumpkins already in there. So I'm very excited to be able to give you guys feedback on it. If you are on YouTube live with me, Laura and Jay already asked me for some feedback. I will go in the tribe, pick up your pumpkin, bring them to the screen, and yeah, give you some feedback. So if you are live with me, you get this opportunity, if you want to let me know in the chat what is your name in Discord, and I'll go pick it up. If you are on Instagram, I invite you to either join us on YouTube to do the same, or let me know on the chat on Instagram the name that you have on Discord. I'll try to give you guys feedback for the next 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how things go. And so yeah, you still have a few hours to participate. I think, yeah, you still have a few hours to participate into the challenge. So if you haven't shared your work to win one of the 6 Huion tablet, you still have a few hours to submit your work. So don't give up there. Keep on posting, guys. And I'll be announcing the winners on Monday. PT time, Pacific time. I'm gonna say hi to Luna. You want feedback? Luna, you need to give me your name, and I'll go fetch up these as we go. So let me start first with going on Discord, and I believe Laura was the first one to ask me. So Laura, you're saying that your name is Laura Pablo. I think I have your work right here. Let me take that, copy and paste. This looks already amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your work with me, Laura. So Laura, what are you saying? You're saying I would like to have some feedback on my pumpkin. It's finished, posted. You're not happy with it. Why are you not happy with it? Can you tell me? I would like to know what you can do to fix it. I can definitely give you some general feedback, but note to everybody that's going to ask for feedback right now, it's always good if you know exactly what you don't like. So Laura, I'm asking you the question. I'm going to start giving you some feedback, but let me know what you don't like on this, because to me there's a lot that's really nice. I love the composition. I love the detail. I love the concept of it all. What is the one thing you don't like? The colors are nice. These little ghosts are just so cool with the chromatic aberration that you added on them. That's very nice work. So let me know, Laura, what you don't like here. And I want to see your answer. You know, I'm going to start. All right, cool. So for me, if I had to give you some feedback on this, I think the one thing that you did at the end probably is adding these chromatic aberration. Now, chromatic aberration is great, right? You know, let me see if you have like, did you posted something before the final in the tribe? Well, you have this. It's far from being done, but I'm still going to bring it to the front. So this was your previous work that you posted. And so one thing that you have here that the final doesn't show, let me just make a quick mask on that thing, is that you see there's like a vibrating kind of like thing that happens when you add chromatic aberration, because you're gonna have like that red and green. It makes the whole image vibrate, and ultimately it makes the whole image blurry. So all these textures that you've been adding on the hat, on the pumpkin, they got lost a little bit because you added this chromatic aberration. So just note to self, when you add chromatic aberration, try to not add it on necessarily everything, because you will lose some of the details. I think the chromatic aberration for the ghosts, that works. It works super well because it's essentially it just helps them to like glow a little bit more. But when it comes to like the details on the hat, we're kind of losing the texture here. So that's my 2 cents about that. Did you answer me on YouTube? No. But that's already that. That's what I'm seeing here. So that's the feedback I have, I think, for this piece. I'm not gonna repaint your texture here. That's what it is. When it comes to the glowing eyes, again, because you added that chromatic aberration, now the eyes, they just feel like, they don't feel like they're glowing as much. If you had removed this, you know, if you had removed the, I'm going to try to like do it on a previous version here. I can add another one of like overlay or color dodge, depending. And then with a dark orange, we'll be able to make them like just glow a little bit more, you know? And you cannot have this kind of like glowing effect if everything around it glows, right? So that's just my 2 cents about it. But I really like the concept of it all. I think it's really well done. So yeah, thanks for sharing. And I don't see you telling me what you don't like about it in the chat. But truthfully, this is just a nice concept. I really like it. Thanks for sharing. Let me get back to the chat. I also had Jay saying, hi, Gil H. Can't wait to hope some feedback too. So, is that your name, Gil H? Let me go check. Gil H. If you guys give me your name on Discord, try to put maybe like on in between brackets, because there's a lot of Gils. What do we have here? Gil 1A 1L. Gil H. Oh, I think I found you. All right. Oh, this is really nice. Really, really nice. Love it. Some of you guys, I'm just gonna be giving you like praises, because this looks dope. All right, let me bring the your pumpkin to plan, Gil. No, that's not the right one. Copy. All right. Hopefully this works. And we have a little delay. I think I just saw Laura give me her feedback. Oh, that's why it's so big. So many pixels. Bring that back as well. So this is your work, Gil. This is amazing. Let me just get back to Laura just to see her feedback or something. So Laura, you say, I think my pumpkin, and I'll move back this. I think my pumpkin turned out too sharp and dark. I had other things planned, but I felt rushed for the time. Decided to finish it because I should finish it by today. And I could have done better. I feel disappointed. I feel like I didn't. Thanks for taking the time. Content activated. First of all, Laura, don't be so hard on yourself. I think this is super well. If you felt rushed, that that happens. Crush times when it comes to challenges. Don't feel bad about it. I think you put some work on this, and it definitely looks like. I think there's some great work here. If you remove the chromatic aberration from the pumpkin itself, and just yeah, just that would already work. And then you can just think about like every single pieces on the illustration, how to apply the lighting, because truthfully, when it comes to rendering, it's all about taking your time to apply the lighting correctly. So I'm going to look at the teeth, for example, and just try to help everyone with this little part. So look at every part of your painting, no matter what it is, and then think about, okay, where is the lighting? First of all, we're going to try to remove the lines. So one flat color here. The lighting comes from like top front kind of thing. So you can think that you're going to have like the top of the teeth is going to be a little bit lightened, maybe even like it turns a little bit here. Maybe it's like front side, so maybe this brings us to have like this edge to be a little bit maybe darker, maybe not that dark, a little bit darker. Maybe there's a cast shadow of the teeth, you know, something like that. Maybe we have a highlight on that teeth, maybe on that corner, maybe right there, something like that. And you really want to take your time for each of them instead of like adding too much texture, because when you add texture from the get-go, that's where you start like losing track of what you're doing. Okay, things like the hole that you have right there. You see, when you add the chromatic aberration, it kind of adds like a kind of a glowing like thing around it. But you want to think about, like, all right, so probably that this would catch the light at the bottom. You would have like some sort of a shadow at the top. Maybe the inside is a different color. And now suddenly it feels like there's a hole here instead of just being like some black, right? So really taking your time with these steps for the base of it all. Then you can add some effects, but if you add too much effects, like I was saying, especially with the chromatic aberration, it's going to take out all the beautiful work that you already done. Like you have some really cool details right here, but unfortunately what I see is a bunch of red lines and green lines, right? We're losing the texture. So adding these kind of filters of chromatic aberration, they're good, but if you add them on everything, there's chances it's going to destroy your work. So hopefully this is helpful. And don't be so hard on yourself. This is a great piece, and thanks for sharing. So the next one that I had here, and by the way, I'm seeing a lot of you guys posting your names for Discord. As soon as I finish one piece, then post it again, because I'm not going to scroll back, okay? So just stay with me. I'm going to give as many feedback as possible. And when I'm finished with one, post your stuff in there. I'll go back in the chat. So this is the work of Gil. Gil, this is amazing. I don't think I'll have a lot of feedback to give you, because ultimately what I like about this piece is the concept is great. Love the pen that you jam into it, the dumb sticker, that's just amazing. The little shovel thingy that you poke in it. I love that you choose a different color for the inside, that you went with like blue. All of this is just great. I think there's a few places where you could have think about how to make the lighting a little bit more consistent, I guess, with the choices that you did. And I'll point at a few things. So you have your pen, for example, here, whoops, which is great, but I was about to say maybe you would like a cast shadow, but technically maybe not, because the entire thing is in a cast shadow. So, but I think the terminator of the pumpkin itself maybe could have been like just a little bit more clear. I'm trying to point at something like you did it here, which is great. I think this cast shadow ultimately, because your lighting is on your sphere, it's like it's right here, right? So it tells me that it's center front. So I don't think with this your shadow would be here. I think it would be actually like almost like just maybe this would be there, and you would have like almost like a maybe like a shadow towards, almost a little bit towards the back. Yeah, I think the shadow would be a little bit more towards the back. So sometimes it's very difficult to just like imagine how it is. My trick for these things, if you don't know, like even for me, what I would do is I would take my phone. Everybody has a what's it called? Lamp, flashlight. Everybody has a flashlight on their phone these days. And so take your flashlight, you know, take a rounded object. It can be anything, and then put it on it and kind of look at it. And then literally I would have put like a pen and play with the shadows to look at it. You need a reference to see what it is. Because right here you see like you have your lighting here on the side. Let me move this here. You have your lighting on the side. The lighting doesn't make sense there necessarily. You would have a lot more of a highlight on top right here because this is facing the light, you see? So I'm going to just kind of try to darken this, darken that a little bit. Darken even, whoops, that and that. And then think about adding just maybe like some occlusion shadows on the rim here of some sort, like as that's facing the light a little bit more. Same thing here. This probably would have a little bit more light, and the occlusion or the highlight would be kind of like where it's facing the light. And you would probably have a little bit more of a kind of like a middle ground for the rendering. There's no side because the lighting is down the side. It's like kind of front, right? And then you could add like I like the cast shadow here. Your cast shadow indicates where your light is, you know, so you have to continue with this. Probably that would push, you know, the highlights on those edges here, maybe as it's turning towards the light source a little bit more. Maybe adding like a few more highlights at a few places to kind of just play with the light a little bit more. But ultimately, I only have praises for this one. I think it's really beautiful. Maybe the inside of the light, and you're gonna hear me saying a lot of maybes, and the reality is I'm not sure how to fix these paintings, right? I want you to understand that the tips that I'm going to give you guys, there's a lot of trial and error that even me or any professional artist would have to do. There's no magical formula. Sometimes you just have to get dirty with it and try something to see if it's working. Like I'm going to create a multiply layer with a soft round brush. And I'm going to just kind of check, whoops, sorry for Instagram, I was on the side. I'm adding that layer here to kind of check like, all right, is that making sense? Like, is that supposed to be like that? And then you can think about like these different planes might cast the light of the inside a little bit differently from time to time. So you can try to separate them a little bit by adding like the different values, and then yeah, I think to me that makes a little bit more sense. And then maybe like the edges here gets a little bit more light. Same thing here, you know. These edges are turning away. You can think about like the edge of the pumpkin, kind of like they're not super sharp, right? So sometimes they're rounded a little bit. They will catch a little bit more of the light. Things like that. Hopefully that makes sense. So those are the things that I'm pointing out. Like I said it with the pen, I want to give you the pen, but I think the pen, because your Terminator is kind of here, ultimately I think everything in here is in the shadow, which means that shadow over shadow, they don't multiply. It's the same color. So even this here might have to go away. But I'm not quite sure. Maybe you could indicate like a bit of a shadow. And then your Terminator would be like just a little bit more pale, a little bit more lower, kind of pushing that. I would have had to do some trial and error. Anyhow, great piece. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you for participating. And yeah, good luck. Good luck with it all. Let me just try to catch up with the chat here. I'm going to move that here. Soul Warrior said, artwork fire, but aren't you scared of AI? No, this is definitely not made with AI. First of all, here's what I have here. Let me share that with everybody. So one of the reasons why sharing your process is important, especially with, whoops, copy. I think your process skill is so huge that even my computer is having a hard time. Am I copying this correctly? Can I just, all right, there we go. Look at this beautiful process. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, I can already tell in the process that you were having here, Gil. Amazing sketch. Local colors are great. You did your color shift here, looks amazing. And I think it's when you started on before your lighting, these could be just a little bit darker, and that's what I was trying to fix earlier. Like these could be just a little bit darker because ultimately they're in the shadow, you know. They're in the shadow. So those are going to be a little bit darker, and then you're adding the light inside it like you did the blue, and two things will happen. First, the inside is going to be like blue. No kidding. But also you'll have some subsurface scattering. I'm going to take an overlay, see how it goes. You have some subsurface scattering that... Okay, maybe it's going to take a color dodge instead. Wait. Okay, no. Maybe I'll just take a normal layer then. You need to play with the blending modes. Subsurface scattering is going to get like inside, it's going to mix it a little bit more. And so there's some trial and error to be done and kind of try them all. But trying to think about how does it look without the light, and then how does it look with the light, and this way you're able to build into layers, basically. But yeah, all right. Thank you so much for sharing your work, Gil, and good luck. All right, let me check the chat real quick for all of you guys. You are welcome, Jay Bultron on Instagram. Georgia B. My name on Discord is Georgia 5399. All right, let me go check that. Georgia. Sure, did I spell it correctly? Georgia 5399. There we go. So Georgia, you did a ton, so congratulations about it. And I see that you have a DPA badge, so you're part of the DPA, so thanks. Thanks for the support. For everybody that wondering what the DPA is, this is my academy. This is where I put all my best techniques. You can save 30%, just letting you know, because you can save 30% on joining until the end of the month. So Georgia, you did a ton of those. Was there one in particular you wanted to check? I love the feedback. I mean, a more consistent style is what you would like to have, huh? So then let me open this one because you have all of them, and I'll give you a little bit of feedback on style and how to create style. And sorry, Discord doesn't want to copy the images sometimes. There we go. Whoopsie. Bam. So let me put that away. So you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all right, let's talk about style. Finding a style is something that every artist will probably try to do their entire career. Some will try, some will have an easier time, some won't try and have a very nice style. I think everybody is different a little bit in that sense. Here's are the things that you can do to have a clearer style among all the work that you have. You can paint with the same colors, paint with the same brushes, paint the same subject. You can have certain way to stylize the texture. Like basically it's repetition. If you have something that repeats on every single painting, no matter if it's the brushes, the style that you're using, as in the techniques, I mean, that you're using, the colors, the subject. If you have something that repeats all the time, that's going to become your style eventually. When we are at a stage when we're not quite established as artists, what happened is we try a lot of different things. Or sometimes, like me very much, there's a lot of things that I like. I like cartoony, I like realism, I like so many things, right? So I tend to move in different subject, but I try sometimes to have maybe the same kind of brushes that I'm using, so I have my own sets. Looking at your work, what I'm seeing is you have characters for this challenge, which already works. What you could have done for all of these could have been like the same kind of approach for the expressions, you know, or the same kind of like style for the face style, because we have a very cute one, then a very scary one, and it's missing the nose here if you want it to have like the same as this one. Not sure why I'm using this brush to give this. You know, so that nose here, those two little dent in the smile, the one other teeth, these things, if they repeat everywhere, then we feel like it's the same character. So you could have the same character everywhere, or create two character, one feminine, one masculine of some sort. Have them in two scenes of, you know, like you have urban scenes here. That's kind of also kind of like a scene, like a little bit more like a lifestyle illustration. But here you have it like kind of like more like a scarecrow. It's a bit different. You have a different era here, very old shirt. Same thing with the dress here, and these are a little bit more moderns. All of these things, if you make them less wide, less choices, it's ultimately it's growing your style ultimately. When it comes to the techniques for each of those, let me point first out what I like about each of them. Really love the old style that you created here. There's something very like nice and nostalgic. I also like that it's almost like more like a Christmassy vibe with the snow and all. But then you have the pumpkin, which is super cool. I think it's probably my favorite from all the ones that you have. This one, I like that it's like a lifestyle. It's interesting. I feel like to make sure that they fit correctly, though, you would have had to just make sure that things like the texture here, like this is a rim light coming from the top. It feels like this bounce on that. So you would probably see a lot less of that rim light. You would have just a little bit of a rim light here. Same thing for the top here, kind of thing. It's very blurry here. Like I would have tried to have like maybe like just a bit less blurry, like having it, the character sharper. And ultimately, this is something that you would learn by learning about cameras. Because ultimately, what we're doing as artists is we're taking into account the art of photography and the cameras, such as a wide lens and a macro and whatever different kind of lens, the 35 millimeters, and how they interact with the scene and with the subject to create the idea of realism, right? And here I feel like the background being so blurry, and then you have the character, it's like sharp and then not sharp, and these things, they're fighting each other. Like you would have your character here being sharp. This is the portrait, so you would want to have like sharper edges where the eyes are for sure. This is like very like soft here. I would use a harder brush to sharpen these holes on the face, especially when the hands is pretty sharp compared to it. Because those are the small things that ultimately that you would see, and it tells you like, oh, like it feels like even though you painted it, because we saw your process coming on, it feels almost like you did like a photo collage, which is not a problem, another way of art, but I know you painted it, and I'm sure that you wanted people to feel like your painting is part of the same scenes, right? So including the lighting from the scenes on your pumpkin, that's one way to make sure that they are fitting the same way. But another way is to also understand how photography and cameras and lenses work, so that your focal point and your depth of field, that's how you call the blurry effect, ultimately works. So that's my comments about all of this, but otherwise you did some amazing stuff here. Like that shirt looks great. These characters are just awesome. Here, that's another example. Here you have a very sharp character, right? Very sharp stick, very sharp everything. And then I can tell that you slapped a photography and then blurred it, and you didn't added some painting. You add some texture on top of it. Ultimately, they fight each other. It doesn't feel like they're part of the same illustration, because they're not, right? You used a picture, and photo bashing is a great technique, and I recommend it to every artist, but I also tell them to never just slap a photography there and then don't paint over it. You need to paint over it. You need to include it into like the style. You want to use it as a base. So here you could have added like just some sharper, I'm just going to try to slowly, I could even take like a texture brush of some sort. Let's see if I got something to save some time here. I usually don't really use texture brushes, but maybe I got something about grass. Sometimes I do, maybe I don't. Maybe this? No. All right, let's just use this then. Where you kind of want to use like the different texture that you have here and kind of integrate them into your painting. And you want to think about, all right, do I see that stick completely? No, probably that you have a part is going to be maybe like a little bit blurry. The clothing, some edges, some of the edges could be lost. And all of these lost edges and found edges and whatever blurriness effect will add to the realism of it all. Hopefully I make myself clear. I don't want to over explain something here, but that's my thinking. That's what I'm seeing when I'm seeing this. when it comes to style. But congrats on doing 5. This is amazing, and definitely good luck. And thanks for sharing. All right, let me go try to catch up with the chat, guys. I don't want to ignore anybody. I'm going through it so far because I can see the entire chat, so I'm going to try to do that as much as I can. Did I miss something here? Wait. I have Daniela. Daniela says, good morning to you. Finally, I have some time to catch the live. Thank you. Are you welcome? So it was so much fun. Some feedback on my work. I posted on Discord. I am Dania_row. All right. Let me go check that. Let me see your work. Danny. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Very nice. Let me bring that so everybody can enjoy it. Ah, this is great. This is great. All right. So, feedback. Are you telling me what you don't like, what you want? What's the feedback on? Just a reminder to everybody. If you want some feedback, it's always better if you tell me also what kind of feedback you want. What did you try to do? What did you work on? What was the hurdles that you had? You know, where was it easy? Where was it hard? Any kind of feedback you can give me helps me to give direction, because feedback can be very large. And so yeah. Shrumbit, I kind of rushed my submission because of school. No problem. The participation is what was needed, but I'm sure you did a great job. All right, so Daniel, you say also, I posted a sketch in the final version. I'm the beginner. I have never colored my sketch before. It explained to me. I feel like I didn't handle the night part. All right, cool, thanks. So first of all, you did a lot of great stuff here, and I'm going to point it out. So what you have is a lighting that makes sense. Your shadow here makes sense. That's a shadow a candle will have. Maybe it would get a little bit more large and a little bit more blurry, because light from a candle is not always strong enough to have like very, very like sharp cast shadows. You have this light. Let me show that to everybody on Instagram also. You have this light here that forms like a circle here, and that's exactly how it would go on this, because basically you have the light that comes from the candle, you know, like this, and you would have a there's a name for it, like the light would fade out basically very fast, because it's not a super powerful light. And so it does it here. It goes from in the light to in the shadow very abruptly, which creates this kind of like spotlight on your pumpkin, which is great. What you had a few mistakes is you have this piece of grass that comes from the back. This is too far. It's in the shadow. It would be completely in the shadow. So that would be in the shadow, even though it turned towards the light here. You have to think that if you don't have any light here, you certainly don't have any light here either. You might have a slight difference maybe in the light, but you have to think about your value range. The value range is basically this range of value going from black to white. And if you have something in a shadow, you don't want to go from white to black. That's too high of a contrast. You want to stick between something that's like, I'm going to put it in black and white so you understand. So I'm going from very dark here, which is like, that's dark, to even darker. On white, you barely see the difference here, you see? But when you're in the shadow, you can see that difference, even though, you know, this is this light and sorry, on Instagram, and this is this light right here. That's the value range that you want to have in the shadows. Let me know if that makes sense. This little part here, that's good, because it's in the light, it's attached to the light, but the rest it's in the back. So that's my 2 cents I have about this. Here you have a great opportunity to give a cast shadow a little bit more sharp here. You would have this here that cuts the light, you know, here that's in the shadow, and then maybe as this is turning towards the light, maybe what we have is kind of a harder cast shadow here maybe, and that kind of like turns towards the light. If you're doing things like with hard edges like I'm doing right now, it's going to be like easier to see like if it's working or not, and then you can add some softer edges to it. That's facing the light, that's not facing the light, that's facing the light, that's facing the light, that is kind of facing the light a little bit on the side. I think this here would be facing the light, then this and that. Right, zoom in, zoom out, open the layers, close the layer, maybe maybe that sharp edge could be lower. And then you can take a soft round brush or a smudge tool like I'm doing, or a mixer brush tool in Photoshop to kind of soften those edges a little bit. But ultimately that's what it is. You see you have the right value range here. This is from a little bit pale to a little bit dark, and this is like all in the shadows. So ultimately it makes sense. You could have pushed maybe your value range towards the dark a little bit more here, and ultimately what it's going to do is like for these little pieces where you have like just like here for example, it's going to help you to give you some depth to it all. You don't have to add a lot, just a little bit. And the eyes, I would make the inside much darker. This is also going to help. You know what, I'll just do all the holes. Whoops. I would also make sure to take my time here. I'm giving you the quick and dirty because nobody likes to see me make selections. I'm going to take a soft round brush, new layer, and I'm going to go with black. And the idea is you want to have a little bit more depth. I don't want to go too black because it's going to not look good, but just a little bit more black to add some contrast to it all. And here's the thing. When you're in the lighting, when you're in the light part, your light sometimes will desaturate your colors. And then you would have more saturation in the shadows. And you have this amazing blue background here. And what I'm going to try to do real quick is I'm going to take a multiply layer. I want to add more saturation into your pumpkin, especially in the shadows. So I'm just going to make a quick selection here. Again, I would make the selection better if I was doing this. I'm going to use a very saturated color, a dark one, maybe towards the pink or purple, and I'm just going to add some saturation into the pumpkin a little bit. You want to have that saturation into the shadow. It's going to help. And then because we have some blue, you could think about maybe there's some light coming from a moon to help you kind of lid the back of that pumpkin. I'm not gonna go too. I want to try some blue. Yeah, let's try that. You know what, I'm going to use the same selection that I had before. New layer. I'm going to use with just a soft round brush at the beginning, and then I'm going to come and delete. Whoops, that's not the eraser. I'm going to come and delete what's not needed, and come back with a hard edge, and maybe just, whoops, on a new layer. I'm creating new layers each time because I can go back after that with an eraser, soft round eraser in this case, to kind of delete the parts that I don't want. This is going to help to just give a little bit more depth to the painting. Something like that. But yeah, ultimately I really like this one. So hopefully I answer some of your questions. Sometimes I lose myself into the explanation. Let me give you a before and after. Before and after. Just a little bit more contrast, a little bit more depth. But ultimately a really great pumpkin. And thanks for sharing. Let's see. Get back to the chat. Thank you for all of you guys that are on Instagram. I'm also looking at the chat in there. If you have questions or if you want me to go see your pumpkin, let me know. Let me see if I scroll down a little bit. On Instagram, what software are you using? I am using Photoshop. Photoshop is what I'm using. All right. Let me get back to YouTube. What needs to be done to get feedback? You simply have to give me your Discord name, and I will go on Discord and go pick up your work. Discord, we should have a link in the bio if you are on Instagram, and a link in the description of this live if you are on YouTube. All right, let me go down. Vanessa, you said this is your first year joining the carving challenge. It's been super fun. It was super fun, and thanks for joining. Hopefully you'll be there from now on. We tend to do this every year. Hopefully we'll be able to do it next year as well. Laura, you are welcome. Scrolling down. My Discord name is also Little Trickster, says Little Trickster. All right, let me go check your work. Little Trickster. Little. No misspell. Little. Trickster. There we go. This is looking good. Very nice painting. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I copied it. And I did. Awesome. All right. Little Trickster. Let me know what was your hurdles. What was the things that you had the hard time with it? Let me see if you already put that somewhere. I don't see anything. All right, so let me know what was hard. What was hard? I'm also going to pick up your steps because I saw your steps as well. So let me check. What's the step here? Let me copy this and place it here. And you started in grayscale from what I'm seeing, which isn't a problem. You have it here. All right. So when it comes to feedback on this, one thing that I can tell you from the get-go, I see your final piece here. Your final piece has a colored background, right? But you didn't build it with a colored background, and that's a mistake. Why? Because a background of any color, even if it's gray, no matter if there's a different value basically than white at the end, it's going to have an effect on the colors. Now you went with an artistic color here where you're not trying to go towards realism, but even if you don't go towards realism, the way you perceive the values and read the image, and ultimately it plays with contrast, it plays with your focal point, it plays with a role with the way you see colors. if you change your background after putting your colors, which you did in this case, it will change the way you see the entire painting at the last minute. So you don't want to do this, right? I would have kept the white background because that's what you had, but your final had a colored background, and ultimately what we have now is the contrast of the pumpkin is getting lost. And I see that you've been adding a line at the end to fix that, and I'm assuming it's because you saw that, yeah, the pumpkin was not popping enough, and that's because you had it on a white background the entire time. So that's one thing that I'm seeing here. I think what I would have done if I were you, instead of adding just a line like this, I would have had. I'm gonna make a selection here and try to see if I can show you. Am I making a selection here? No, that was just. What am I doing? Oh, I see. All right. So I'm going to make a selection and I'm going to darken the entire background, because now that you have color on it, it's better to go towards the dark than the white. I'm going to reverse the selection and create a multiply layer and use the saffron brush, and to create some contrast I'm going to create like a green layer maybe, and try to see until when I'm having enough contrast. So now with this, your pumpkin is popping, right? And instead of having necessarily an outline, I'm going to create a rim light with an extra light. I'm just going to select the inside of the mouth, which ultimately should also kind of be dark, if not completely black. And there's a lot of texture here that you added, all these lines. It's a nice touch, but ultimately I saw you kind of like trying to render things into a 3D matter, and when you add all these little lines at the ends, it flattened the image. You don't want to do this. You want to choose to either add stuff that will helps the readability of the image, but if you add it everywhere like you did, it's going to flatten the image. So think about it like lighting always. Right now, what I want to do is I want to add a rim light to it. I should have kept my selection, but I'll redo it again. And so for that, I need to first think about a light direction for it all. So I'm going to put some, like a side that's like going to be kind of like darker or in the dark. Like you have the light coming from the left. And, whoops, let's keep the selection. And then I'm going to think about, all right, so let's add maybe a blue light, you know? Just a blue light like this. That is going to come on the pumpkin. You know what? I'm going to use the yellow because you use yellow. Let's use that yellow light as a second light source. And I want to think about the entire object, right? So maybe it catches like the rims of that pumpkin. Maybe like it turns in the shadow here a little bit. I don't have the right one. Maybe it comes into the rims of the pumpkin here, wherever the rims are, and it will help you to feel the pumpkin just 3D by adding like a second light source, essentially. If that makes sense. Okay. Like that line that you have here, like it helps with adding some visual interest, but it's not clear in terms of light. Same thing with those little lines here. Like it's okay if you're trying to render the light on it, but having a clear understanding of where is the light will definitely help you. Like the light comes from, my rim light comes from the right now, so I can add a little bit of yellow on that side of the teeth. And you did a pretty good job at painting the 3D aspect of those teeth. So now all I have to do really is to follow these perspective that you already established by thinking about what side is facing the light and what side is not facing the light, ultimately. Right? Let me just push that a little bit more, like this. So that's how I would approach this. And then I like that you had your eyes glowing, but then you have these very dark lines here. One thing that you could have done is go check how subsurface scattering works. You'll see that there's always like kind of like a gradient of like really bright lights with the orange and stuff. So instead of having like a rim of black here, I'm gonna try with something that has just a little bit more colors to it to make it glow, and then maybe like a center with some pure white to help it even glow even more, and then on top of that a color dodge or an overlay that will bring that glowness even further. And then you want to think about, like you did it here, that these eyes become light sources. And yes, that little bump might get some yellow from this. This corner here might get a little bit of light from that light. These lines under the eyes, these bag lines, yes, they will get some of that light. You might, you might get some of all of this. But it needs to feel like there's a direction to it all, right? So here, that edge, that doesn't get it. The edge on the other side, yes, it might. So it's always thinking about like, where is the edge facing? You see, like this edge face towards this, and this edge here face towards this. They're facing the different eyes that we have, essentially. And you have this purple light here that's very nice. It's very interesting. So why not adding another light source then that's coming from the top? All right. I'm going to use a saffron brush. Oops. And just adding a little bit of yellow softly, and then take this, and then all right, so we have maybe like a thicker rim light that comes from the top right there. And then no matter how you stylize it or not, but this feels like it could be like just on top of everything here, really. If that makes sense. You have to think about all the planes that are facing up that might catch just a little bit more of that light. And this will help to just render the 3D aspect of it all. Hopefully this is clear enough, because I don't want to go into too much detail and start rendering it up to the final point, but just give you enough to be able to push it a little bit more. But ultimately, great work. Thanks for participating. Great pumpkin, and good luck. Again, we still have a few hours for you guys, so if you're still working on your painting, on your pumpkin, be sure to post it in Instagram and Discord. Winners will be picked later. So you still have some time. All right, let me go check in the chat. That was the work of little Trickster, I believe. Yes, it was. Let's go. Sofo, you say, I would like some feedback. Your name is .sofo. Let me go check that. .sofo. .sofo. Sofo. Bam. Ooh, very nice. We have a full character for this one. And you got some steps. Let me check the steps real quick. I'll bring them to the screen in a second. Ooh, that's cool. All right, let me bring all the steps. All right, copy. We have a final image. Whoops, that's not the right one. I don't know why sometimes I have a hard time copying from Discord. All right, so this is the final image, but I want to also show the previous one here. And if you're there with me, Sofo, on YouTube, can you explain me why the final and this color phase are very, very different? Like, why did you go for a different color harmony, well, not color harmony, a different color scheme, where you have like more in the blues here, more in the green and yellow here? I'm curious to know, because I really like this one. I really like the blue that you have there, so I'm wondering. We have your sketch here, which looks awesome, and the final line work right here. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. All right, let me just let's go from the sketch. Sketch, amazing. Love the composition, love the expressions of the characters as well. This is looking really, really good. Very good. I'll say this though, the perspective that you put on your chainsaw here, I know what you wanted to do, to have like a what is it called? Foreshortening on the chainsaw. Let me point it out, because I don't think it's clear. So let me point it out to everybody. Where's the chainsaw? The chainsaw is here. He's grabbing the chainsaw. And then you have the blade of the chainsaw that kind of goes like this. But the chainsaw is pointing, it's pointing on the side. So now it feels like the chainsaw is like turning a little bit, which isn't a huge problem, but I feel like the perspective is not quite there. You could have just, I think for this one, just continue your chainsaw on the side like this, having your dent like this. I feel like the foreshortening was forced a little bit. If you wanted to have the foreshortening, you would have had to rethink that into a box and ultimately make it feel like it's facing us, right? So a little bit more like something like that, right? So it's facing us, and then you would have like the blade go. I'll take a different color maybe so it's more clear. The blade that would follow that perspective towards us. And even me, I would have a hard time making a decision on this, but that seems to me a little bit better. And then you would have like, yeah, the teeth of that thing that goes from bigger to bigger as it comes, and then you can exaggerate it, and that's fine. But that first perspective here of that chainsaw, you know, with whatever details you wanted to put on it, it needs to face that direction, if that makes sense. And you have it on the side here. And so that doesn't work. Just wanted to point that out. But concept, line work, detail, amazing. That was the previous big sketch, which is good. And when it comes to the colors, well, let me go check your chat if you answer my question. You say, I think I should improve your perspective. I always use blue tones and thought it would be more interesting in green. Sure, if it's a personal taste, why not? My thinking is the blue made feel like it was night, where the green, I'm kind of losing that effect. I don't know. Maybe also it's because I'm seeing both of them and then I got the opportunity to choose which one I like. But if I only seen the green, I wouldn't see no difference. When it comes to the final one, the texture that you added on it for me kind of flattens the image again. If you're looking at even just this, because you have all the same textures, all the same line work and so on, it feels like I feel the 3D. Also, you simplified very well, the light that goes on it's very graphic. I read it with more ease, but you added this dotted kind of texture, which is nice, but you add it on top of the image without taking in account the light direction of things. Like, think about it this way: if I were to make the pumpkin again, I'm gonna create a new layer here and kind of place it here. Change that brush. Like, you could decide that, and you seem to have like, let's say you have your shadow here and whatnot. I'm just going to just kind of replicate your light scheme real quick, real fast. You have some blue here. You have another blue there. What you want to think about is these yellow dots that you added, they should fit within that light scheme. So you added a texture, but at the same time, it kind of helps the purpose of like putting either shadow or light. So what you could have done is, I'm going to create a top layer here and just kind of like, because I don't have your brush here, so I'm going to kind of recreate that. Do you have a halftone texture brush? Yeah, I don't. I'm sure I bought some at some point, but they're not there. I'm just going to create an halftone real quick. Let's put that and that together. And that together. And that together. And I think you see where I'm going with this. So let's have an halftone right here. And anyone think about, all right, could it be the light instead of the shadow? I'm gonna attach it to this, put a mask on it so I don't have to redo it, and delete what's that here. And then it becomes like kind of like the transition of like, all right, so this is like the kind of the highlight instead. But what you did is you added on top of it all, and now it flattens the image. It doesn't feel 3D no more. Let me know if that makes sense. Because unfortunately, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of great shape, but this was reading much better than this one. And it's not because you don't have a great character or great colors or all of that. All of this is great. It's that texture that ultimately now blurs all these different shapes that you created that were very, very sharp. Hopefully this is helpful. But thanks for sharing. This is looking great. Love it. Let me get back to the chat real quick. And I lost you guys on Instagram. Sorry. Everyone's still there. Hello. All right. I'll spend a few more minutes to give you guys feedback, and then I'll let you guys with the rest of the day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really wanted to do this because there's so much great work in there. Let me scroll up just to see if I missed something. Sorry, I cannot read. Some of you guys didn't put your names. I don't know. Just gonna keep on scrolling. If I did that already. Post them up on Discord and username Mato. Mato. Let me go check that. Mato. Whoops. Okay. Quit Discord. That's what I wanted to do. Shrumbit on Instagram. I can definitely go check yours afterwards. Please give me your Instagram. Sorry, your Discord. Your Discord painting. Just enable this. And Matteo, what was your name? Username Matteo. Matteo. From Matteo. All right. Another great concept art looking one. Very nice. Whoops, that's not the right thing. I don't know why Discord does that again. Copy this image. There we go. All right. This is looking good. Love it. So much great stuff happening here. First of all, you have a really cool concept. That's A. That's very nice. B, the lighting for the most part makes sense. As in, we have one major light source on this painting. I'm gonna remove this in the background, it's distracting. Sorry. We have one major light source. It's the fire that you have in here, which is also cool. The problem that I'm seeing at this stage of the painting is your lines, because you're clearly using light to create the illusion of 3D, which is great. But you're having all these dark lights, all these dark lines that reminds us of a 2D image, right? And that's not a problem, right? I like to always to make a little word when I say this, because it's not because you want to do something look 3D that you have to remove your lines. But come at some point that you have to, they need to feel like they're part of the 3D. And right now, I just feel like it's your sketch, which is probably is, right? I'm going to just create a new layer on top of it here. And what I'll do is I'm going to try to remove the lines, but only into the light part. Right here, this is like too dark of a shadow if it was a shadow right here. So I can just kind of like come back here and we'll delete that. Like your eye here would continue. Probably that would face the light. Maybe it's a little bit darker. I like that dark here for this. And what we're trying to do is we're going to try to just eliminate the lines, like I was saying, but inside the light part. So already just this, like we're starting to feel like, all right, it's more 3D. The highlight should be probably here. I'm going to use a soft round brush here to just save some time, but because I want to have like that and feel like it's just a little darker here. And I would do the same thing with the other side. I don't want to go to black. If you go to black, you're kind of like, you're killing this opportunity to use black into like places like occlusion shadows where you really don't have any light. And you need to keep the black only in those, because otherwise, yes, you flatten the entire image again. We'll definitely have some brighter light here. I feel like this could be a different tone, maybe here. And then maybe some light there, some light there. This would be eliminated as a dark line. Same thing here. So all I did was to just remove these lines, and it would help to, I don't have to remove them in the back. Like I would just have to do this where it's facing the light. Like here and here and probably here. The green would have the same thing here. Remove it where it's facing the light. You can keep them in the shadow if you want to, except if you want to use a second light source, right? Some like such as like the blue. If you have the blue of the outside from the sky going into your subject, then you can use the black in between those two to create, oops, sorry guys on Instagram. You can create the black in between those two to create what's called a core shadow. And a core shadow is usually stuck in between two light sources. In this case, it's the sky and, well, the fire that we have right here. So we have the light from the fire, the light from the blue sky, and then in between, you have a core shadow, if that makes sense. If you downloaded the pumpkin kit, I have a sketch that explains that exactly. Oh, sorry. My tour box disconnected. I think I need to change the battery. It's going to take a second. Usually it comes back. Otherwise, I got batteries right there. There we go. So that's what I have to say for the most part about this one, Matteo. But yeah, love the concept. I would do the same thing with all the greens here in the light, trying to remove these lines slowly. But really love the concept. Thanks for sharing, and good luck. Let's go back to the chat, see if I can do a few more. Lucien Bouman. Bow Artistic. Let me go check this. Oh, sorry, Shroom Bits. I wanted to do you. Shroom Bit, where are you? Let me see. Let's just get back. I'm Clay. Stop from me. Let me go check that. Clay. Stop from me. Yes. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I'll share also your steps with everyone, because I think you did some great steps. So here we have, I'll take out that, we have the final pumpkin, which looks awesome. And here we have, I think it's the final pumpkin. Is it the final pumpkin? Wait, today, Shrimbit and stuff. Yeah, I think it's the final pumpkin. And then we have, that was the beginning of it all. Oops, no. That was the beginning of it all, and you also shared your sketch. There we go. Sketch and colors. Love it. I love that we have a sense of lighting from the get-go with your sketch, and we have that just by you adding this little piece of whoops, where am I? Of shadow right here. Just that little part here gives us a sense of light direction already. It could have been pushed a little bit more, but it's not necessary. I said it a million times because we're rendering, so that's cool. And then we have the basic colors. Now the basic color here we don't have the sense of lighting as much though. But let me jump to the final piece, which looks absolutely great. The final piece, there's one thing that bugs me, is the main light doesn't seem to let me just get back in there. The main light doesn't seem to be matching the cast shadows. So we have a light that seems to go from the right towards the left. Let me just show that to everyone, because we have this cast shadow right here, cast shadow here, cast shadow there. So it tells me that you have a light source that probably comes from that direction like this, right? That goes like this. But I don't have much of a highlight here. And this is also lit at the back, and this is also lit. And it feels more like you have a general lighting on top of it like this. So it's, but then again, you rendered this like there was a light coming from this. And so it's very important whenever you're painting that all the objects on your painting, they fit the same light source. So the same direction. And the best way, the easiest way to do this with that is to keep things simple. Put your cast shadow on everything before you start, which I think you believe you did for the most part. And then try to match all the form shadow, which are the shadows that you have on the object with this. For this, I think to kind of like to make sure that it fits, an easy trick would be to add a highlight. So I could just add, I could have had like a highlight that's coming from the direction, and I believe that would be the direction. So you would have like a little bit of a highlight here, something like that. So now it feels like, all right, so we have a little bit more light coming from that side. You know, you can push it. I can even push the highlights on this, just a little bit. So once again, it feels like we have more light coming from the right side. But now I need to fix the general lighting and shadows for the rest of the pumpkin. I'm going to use a multiply layer for this, and I'm just going to have to test a few things, but I think this already is better. Just to kind of like do this, I'm going to delete what's in the eye, because the eye is a light source itself, so that doesn't get in the shadow. Same thing with the mouth. We have the mouth here that is a light source, so that doesn't get in the shadow. So already what we have here and there, I'll just take all of these things into a group. And all right, now it feels a little bit more like it's coming from the right. This part here is confusing to me. You have like on a piece of a shadow here that's like kind of a multiply on the background here, right there. I'm not sure. It feels like you have a wall of some sort, which is great. But I don't know. It's confusing to me. I would, at the very least, I would remove this to have your cast shadow kind of like just more defined, like this, some sort. That's a wall in the back, huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not like, maybe it's turning like towards this direction, maybe, and that toward this direction. So I'm still going to do this for now. I like that you added light here from the pumpkin, but I feel like it should technically be on this. I'm not sure what's this. It's like a different shape. So let's just simplify. Let's simplify the image. And just think about, all right, so all of this is the same surface. right? And then you would have essentially some glowing light, probably that comes in front of it. I'm gonna use the same kind of color here that you have. It's not gonna be super like a lot of contrast to it, but just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me show you the before and after. Yeah, before, after, before, after. Yeah, great work. I love the pumpkin. I love the lighting that you put on it as well. The blue of the wall contrasts well. It works. It's a complementary color scheme that works really well. Usually blue and orange. So yeah, just great work. Thanks for sharing. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me get back to the chat. Who did I saw before that? I saw Lucien was saying bow artistic. Let me go check that out. And you're welcome, Shumbit. Bow artistic. Ooh, spooky. Very nice. Oh, I like the texture that you added on it. I'll talk about why I prefer this texture compared to the one that I had before. Let me see. I'll take the one also without texture, if I'm able to copy it. Yep. Okay, so we have something here that I can talk about. We have an image with a grainy texture and the same image without the grainy texture. And I want to compare this to some of the work that I talked about earlier. Where is it? There it is. So this, I was talking about like the texture here and how it was flattening the image. The reason why it's flattening the image is it was because it's been added on top of it and it doesn't work with the lighting. But then you have the work of Lucien right here, where she placed a grainy image. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's like some grain here, and there's no grain here. There's like, that's the texture of the brush, but there's a grain here. And the grain here works because it's uniform to the entire image. And essentially what it does is it's mimicking these old pictures that you would have, old prints, and something that you add on top of it like a glaze of some sort, right? That works. It doesn't flatten the image because it's on everything. What it does though, it's making your image less sharp. But it's a style. It's a style that I like. It's the thing that I did for years. But it's something that you have to be conscious of. Like if I'm looking at your skull here, it's sharp, and this one is a little bit blurry, and that's because of the texture. Also, I think the image was smaller, but yeah. But in terms of, I'll take the final image as being the one which I'm gonna play with the one without the texture because I think there's just more pixels to it. In terms of the image and the feedback that I want to give on this, I just have praises. I think it's great. I love that it's a concept as well. You went above and beyond just painting one pumpkin, which is great. There's a shape design that also works. That's also very good. When it comes to the lighting of the pumpkin, we could have done maybe, trying to see like, because you have like a glow around it. I don't think you would have that glow technically. And we could have tried to maybe feel like some of the piece of the pumpkin, this is going to be tough without having the original, but that glow that you have here, that orange glow that you have all around this on the outside, maybe it would have been nice to feel like the top of the pumpkin itself is blocking it, right? Because the pumpkin doesn't glow like this. I mean, yes, a little bit, but the light doesn't go through the pumpkin. Let let me see if I'm able to do this, because I think it's going to be hard without having the original. I'll make a selection of the pumpkin. And then what I'll try to do is to just kind of like, whoops, let's do it outside. It's to do, just bring back that, right? These trees also get the same kind of color, essentially. And then you would have that blue here of some sort. That's darker here. Let's bring back that tree, and let's bring back that tree. I think that would already work to kind of just remove that glow over it. And then I want to bring back some of that glow, but maybe in a way that just feels more like it's coming from the eyes of the pumpkin, or from the holes of the top of the pumpkin, kind of thing. Let's see if I'm able to do this. I'll do the same thing with the nose, maybe just like that. And then you would have maybe some of the light that comes from there. I'm trying things. You see, I'm doing shapes here. I don't even know if those shapes will work, but all I want to try to express is like it's coming from the holes in between, not the entire pumpkin itself. I'm gonna use either a color dodge or overlay. I'll try with overlay first. Something like that. Let's see how that looks. Does that make sense? Let me know if you think that makes sense. But that's how I was seeing it. I'm just going to push that a little bit more. Maybe. I'm softening some of the edges. Like the nose here. And then what you could do is, like, the main light source of the image is the pumpkin. So we can think about, all right, so I'm going to take the color of the pumpkin, of the light source, and all right, so maybe this edge here of the box will get a little bit of that light. You did it already with the skull, and that's great. I feel like I would have maybe tried to have more of a rim light, maybe. Like all of this might be just more in the shadow. Let me just try something here with a multiply. I'll put that darker, and then we have a lot of blue, so maybe we have also some blue from the sky or the light. Just testing it out. Where you have some of the planes facing the light within that, and then we have the skull getting lit by that pumpkin. I think you did it here pretty well. Maybe sometimes just having harder edges. It helps to have just, when you have harder edge, it helps to bring something up front. And then we can play with contrasts in between those different elements. Here what I'm going to try to do is just to bring a little bit more of like a darker base to it, maybe. I might even try to put one of these sides with it like maybe some of that blue that comes back, like maybe we have that light that bounce on that, and we're trying to mixing the colors together. But yeah, maybe I don't know if it multiplies the right way, but no, that doesn't work. Let me show you what I have. So I have all of this together. We went from there to there, there to there. So it just feels a little bit more like the pumpkin, yeah, is letting this object based on it. And I think I could play a little bit more with the lighting, because I feel like I darkened the scene too much at this point, and I could just try to lit up a few more things, play with the contrast, play with my values a little bit more, but ultimately just starting with a clearer light direction coming from that pumpkin. I think that's what I was ultimately trying to do. Let me know if that was helpful. I'm gonna get back to this and that. Sorry, I'm losing track of the chats and stuff. All right, let me just scroll down. I tried the blue, but I created, but in Procreate I couldn't. Oh, I see. Yeah, sometimes Procreate sometimes doesn't have like all the things. Although I think everything that I showed you now would work also in Procreate. Jake says pumpkin pop so much, sticking away a little background. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for submitting your pumpkins. I think I'm going to end the live with this. It's been about an hour. You can still finish your pumpkin or post your pumpkin in the community, both on Discord or on Instagram. I will announce the winners. Technically tomorrow for most of you, later today for me, as I'm in Thailand. So good luck to all of you. Congrats on your amazing pumpkins. Thanks for sharing them. There's such great work in there. Like I want to go back in there. I saw that you guys will keep on posting during the live, so I want to get back in there and have a look at them. They are super amazing. We have such just different style really this year. It's just really cool to see. Yeah, I'll remind you guys that we have this spooky deal that you can get advantage of, 30% off to join the DPA. If you are a beginner, if you are even an intermediate and you're kind of having a hard time to complete illustrations, you need some step-by-steps to help you to just get to the next level. The DPA has been built over years, and what you get in there is a step-by-step of everything that I learned throughout the years. We have 3 sections: the learning path, the deep dive library, which has a ton of classes about anatomy and portraiture and character design, all of that stuff. And we have the brand new portfolio builder section, where you can follow a professional brief to create professional illustrations. And I'll let you guys with this. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Happy Halloween, happy pumpkin, and I'll talk to you in the community. Ciao, ciao.